Welcome to Crime Besties. We're here for another week. Meg, how are you?
Oh, we've just been having a chat, haven't we? That always makes you feel better.
Yeah, bit of a debrief, bit of a dump of the week getting it over and done with.
Yes, definitely.
Just sometimes letting it out is all you need.
Yeah, definitely.
It's helpful.
That we need our girlfriends for that. And we're well due for a wine night.
Oh, God, yeah. It's been a hot minute.
It has.
Now that the kids are back at school as well, I feel like even more so we need to how are the teachers going? How are the kids settling in? We need to know, all of that jazz. So,
absolutely. Yeah. We've got to plan these things well in advance these days.
Oh, God, yeah. Oh, my goodness. Yeah. So how have the kids settled into school? So we're obviously recording this a couple of weeks in advance. So, they'll be well and truly into it by now. But
we hope so,
yeah. They're good. They're liking their teachers.
Oh, my God. Well, I think because my two, have gone from, we've got grade 3, grade 5. They're both, jumps into the next realm of things, and I'm and they're both loving this whole world of I'm the big kid, I think my youngest obviously going from grade 2 to grade 3. I know how you're finding yours is going, he's loving that he's being included in some more of the sports stuff, and that's an exciting thing ahead. And the school's got this Gaga pit. If you've ever heard of Gaga, I had not. Actually, I spoke to the principal at our school last night about it, and I go, what's with the whole they're going Gaga over the Gaga pit? I've never even heard of this, and this is a whole thing. It's a total thing.
It's a movement.
It is. It's a movement. So he's stoked that he's, being a grade 3 kid, he gets to, gets a whole day of their year level, gets access to it. And it's just, he feels big and special.
Yeah, Lucas said that he actually got hurt before the game had even started yesterday. Someone bumped him into the corner or something and he hurt his hip.
Oh, Jesus.
Knocked him over and he hurt his hip.
Oh, God.
So, God, you watch it before school and you're like, oh, my God, any wonder kids. I'm surprised more kids don't get injured, actually.
I'm sure they – you'll know because your kids will be at the
the sick bay, 100%.
Oh, God. I don't hear about too many injuries with it.
The
seems
kids
pretty good.
bloody love it.
They love it. They were last night up playing there after school and stuff as well, and even the principal said to me, she goes, I think we're going to have to build another one.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, the way they've had to sort it out, each year level gets a day, and then the grade 1s and 2s have to share a day or something.
Yeah, which I think is I think it's a perfect solution to it, because my boys were saying, because today's the grade 2s and grade 2s and grade 1s.
Yeah.
And they were even saying they don't really know how to play, and they might not use it as much as we do. And I thought, because it's complicated.
It is
when
complicated.
They've explained the rules to me, I'm okay, I don't really get it.
They all know that, because same. I've had my kids try to explain. I had to I Googled it so that I could actually figure it out.
Yeah.
It is quite complicated, and there's freaking 50 of them in that pit at any one time.
This is
it's insane.
Because there's no rules on how many to play with or anything like that, which I love that as an open-ended game for many kids as possible. And I love the whole it's not a team sport. There is a winner, but they're coming up with ways to support each other and do teams, kind of thing to get one person to the end.
Yeah, it's great.
Because I heard, oh God, it was funny. Brody was telling me, that it's awesome because Lucas is really good at catching the ball or something, and I'm really good at dodging the ball, and Soto's really good at doing this and that, and so that's our team. And
I love it. They've got it all sorted. Yeah, I love it. I absolutely love it.
Jesus.
Oh, that's gorgeous.
Yeah, but the whole jump into that next portion, which I'm struggling with because I want my babies back.
Oh, mate, I've got a kid in grade 6 this year. It's already giving me all the feels. The last first day of primary school, I was a mess.
Yeah.
I actually was. I was taking the obligatory preschool photo on that first morning, and I was like, oh, my God, Ollie, this is the last one we'll be taking. Next year you'll be in a different uniform.
God. Oh, man. I was up at school yesterday, and as I was standing there, I could see behind me further over was this bunch of kids sitting down in a local high school uniform, and I looked and kind of went, but I know their faces. Why do I know their faces? And then realised, I went, oh, my God, they're last year's grade 6s.
They look so grown up in their high school uniform, don't they?
They really do.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, God, I'm taken aback. This has really got me.
I know.
And they're not even my kids. I don't even know them. Well, I just know their faces from being up at assembly,
I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah.
Exactly what you mean. It goes too fast.
Yeah. Everything this year is going to be a last for
Yeah.
you for Ollie's, and oh my God.
Oh, it feels weird. It gives me
does.
goosebumps, actually.
Yeah.
But he's in such a good place. Like, he's loving the fact of, being in grade 6 and they get lots of extra privileges and, he's loving that.
Yeah.
And Lucas just loves the fact that from grade 3, you get your own, like, assigned laptop. You don't have to share laptops with anyone.
did not
so
know this.
he's got laptop number 11.
Okay.
I've heard all about it.
It's got a laggy
Yeah.
key on the
So yeah, he's stoked about that.
That's
so, yeah,
hilarious.
It's gorgeous. I love it.
Oh, so good. I love that. One of the
Absolutely
things
love
that Mason brought to me was, that now he's in grade 5. One of the things he's super excited about is, we get to put the bins out.
Oh God!
I just was like the small things in life, like
the privilege of putting the bins
responsibilities.
out around the school.
Oh, geez.
I love it.
So good.
Yeah. I've got a few shout outs for today.
Yeah.
Well, I've got 2 actually. So the first one is to Sophie Victory. Soph is a long-standing, friend of the podcast, and she's incredibly supportive. She comments. She's, on Patreon. She always is up for a bit of banter and often likes and shares and does all the things. So thanks so much for that, Soph. But she also, during the week, bought us some coffees/wines because she said, this is to keep up our strength for the pieces of shit we've got coming up. Because you know how you've been putting on the socials about
what's coming
these are the
up,
ones, these are the episodes we've got scheduled. She's obviously looked at that and gone, oh fuck, they're in for a bit of a slog. So thanks for that, Soph.
Yes,
and then we
thank
have
you.
a new Patreon. I really hope I get your name right. I'm not going to, but your name. So it's Yana Yuki Kozmanen. So thank you very much for joining us. We really, really appreciate that as well.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Just a little update, sort of. Well, no, I don't know if you call it an update. Little, like, I guess, or new bit of information or a case that we haven't looked at ourselves yet, and we may down the track now, but there's going to be a lot playing out, I think, in it. Is that in Australia, it's again, we go back to Adelaide for this, South Australia, where some weird shit goes down. But little Gus, who went missing in September last year, on a decent sized property. There was this big
16,000
search.
hectares or something. Like it's
a farm,
big property.
Big property, and Gus went missing, and there was a lot of people got out there and to help look for him. There was this idea that potentially he had gone missing on the property and wandered off and gone missing on the property. But yesterday it came out that the police have identified a suspect, and this suspect had lived is the wording in the articles. Whether that person currently lives there is not clear. And the police would not answer that question yesterday, but had lived on the property. And so this person is known to Gus, but is not one of his parents. They made that very clear that they're not looking at the parents. They've also made clear this person is no longer being helpful with the police. So they've lawyered up, which they should, 100%. That's what you should do. But yeah, so they're not being forthcoming with any more information. But interesting update on that and where that goes to from here, because the police have very clearly stated that they do not believe that there is any evidence to say that he wandered off.
No.
So the search for him, there was a question put to the police yesterday of whether or not they believe Gus was on the property, and I say that as in physically on the property when they arrived to look for him that day.
Yeah.
And the police said the response to that was possibly.
Yeah, okay.
They're not clear on what's going. They're not sort of coming
they're not
to the
saying
party
it.
about anything.
Did you watch that press conference yesterday?
No, I just read it actually, but yeah,
okay.
I didn't watch it.
I actually watched it because it came up. I actually had often when there's cases that I'm not, that I want to keep an eye on, I just set up a Google alert for it, and it came in yesterday. The press conference was at like 1:30 yesterday afternoon, and so it pinged up, and I was like, oh, I will watch that.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot that they're not saying, and I think a lot will come out as this progresses. But it's definitely one that it might be a Patreon type episode, possibly.
Yeah,
because
might not be lengthy enough or whatever for
a full episode, especially once we find out exactly what's happened. But it's definitely a space where we'll be watching.
I'll just be keeping an eye on it.
He's such a beautiful little boy.
So cute.
Those beautiful
the curly
golden
blonde
ringlets.
hair.
Oh my God, he's so beautiful.
So the poor kid, it's just tragic. I mean, him going missing and potentially there's mines and things, mine shafts and things on the property that even the thought of all that was horrendous. But to think that there's been foul play with this, it just
it's
not good.
horrible.
No.
Awful.
Yeah, but yeah, so shitty kind of thing to happen, but an update I thought I would just bring before we get started in this one today.
Definitely. Well, this one's also probably something that we need to give a trigger warning about. Why do we keep doing these ones? Seriously. But today we're going to be talking about, about the murders of young children with certain sexual elements or potential sexual elements to those crimes. And it's just something that, if this is not something you can listen to, again, we totally understand. Move on, maybe come back next week, because it's just, it's horrific. It's absolutely horrific, these crimes that were perpetrated on these 3 young boys. And just quickly as well, I forgot one shout out.
Sorry.
Produce Pete.
Oh, sorry, I did promise we would on the way
we
in.
did. We promised. So got home from school drop-off this morning and he'd set up our studio. So thanks, Pete. Appreciate
Thank you.
it.
It means we can banter before we get on the banter.
That's it. The pre-banter banter. All right. So today we are discussing the case of the West Memphis Three. Tell me what you knew about this case before we started researching this week.
Before I go into the research this week, I had watched already the Paradise Lost. I think I'd watched all 3 of them previously, but a long time ago.
Okay.
Like a good few, like 5 years ago sort of situation. And so actually when we were doing it, I was like, I think that's the case. I think that's that one. Like, that I was like almost like not connecting it entirely when I was like West Memphis Three. I'm thinking that's that.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. So it had been out of my brain for a while, but when we got into it, I was like, oh, yeah.
It's kind of coming back
I know
now.
all this now.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'd watched those couple. I think I'd only watched 2 of those movies. I don't think I'd watched the 3rd one. So I knew a fair bit about it when we started researching that I was able to go back to, but it's definitely can't be going. Yeah, I've done a fair bit deeper this time, but yeah,
sort of similar to me. Like I knew the case. I roughly knew what had happened.
Yeah.
I remember reading something not that long ago about the alleged perpetrators.
Yeah.
And them sort of, we'll get to the how that all came about fairly recently, but I remember sort of reading that and being like, oh yeah, that's that one. And but my God, getting into this has really, I actually, now that I think about it, I don't think I'd ever listened to a podcast about this.
No,
case.
that was the same. No,
that I'd actually listened to a podcast about.
Yeah.
And when I went looking just to start my research, I'm like, they're all long form.
Yes, and that's I did the exact same thing, and then kind of went, I don't have time for long form.
No,
so I'd pick certain bits to snip it around about it. Yeah. But
there's
no,
so much out there. So what we're saying is there's so much out there about this case. If you want to know anything more, because it's kind of like there's kind of 2 aspects to it.
Absolutely.
And you can find podcasts and you can find like even articles and stuff about the actual crime and then what came after. And so if you want to find out anything more about it, it is out there.
Yeah,
you can
definitely.
absolutely find stuff.
Yeah.
So basically in May of 1993, the small town of West Memphis in Arkansas was rocked by the brutal murders of these 3 8-year-old boys.
Yeah.
Now, these were innocent, like 8 years old. We've got 8-year-old kids, 8-year-old boys, Meg. Like the thought of that is like they're so innocent and they're so, they're just so pure and gorgeous.
Exactly.
And this was hard. The realization of this was really, really tough.
There's a number of interviews I listened to of the parents.
Oh my God.
Describing their kids, and I just lost it because one of them in particular I really resonated with was Michael Moore.
I know,
just the way that the parents described him. I'm like, oh my God, that's my 8-year-old. Like kind of that kid who wants to make everyone laugh and leader of the pack kind of situation. Like that she was just cheeky but not naughty. All these things the way that they were describing him, that I'm like, oh my God, that's my kid. Like that could be my kid. That I just, oh God, kill me.
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
I know. Their bodies were found in a muddy creek in a patch of woods that's known as the Robin Hood Hills. Red Robin I was going with. Robin Hood Hills.
Yeah.
The scene was so incredibly gruesome.
Yes.
Now, if you watch the documentary...
Paradise Lost is what it's called. Yeah.
Paradise Lost. So there's actually a Paradise Lost show as well.
Oh.
It's not about this, though.
Oh, okay. I was like,
So if you're Googling it,
okay.
just know that there is a TV show also that was called Paradise Lost. It's not
Completely
even about this at all.
it's different, yeah.
But this is a documentary that was made by HBO.
Yes.
And they actually came across this very early on in the piece to the point where they've got police footage of the boys' deceased remains in situ in the Robin Hood Hills.
I remember,
and it is literally the opening scene.
It is, and it's actually I remember the first time watching it. Like, this is like, so not for this. I remember watching it when I first, like, I think I stumbled across it and kind of went, oh, I'm into that, you know, like, kind of, and watched it. And I remember watching that scene and thinking, oh, okay, this is like they've set up the scene and there's mannequins.
100%. I thought the same thing.
Yeah, and it wasn't until it kind of like, as it kind of progressed, that as you're watching it, that I kind of went, wait, no, I'm looking at, what am I looking at? I'm actually looking at the real scene.
So honestly,
it's quite freaky.
It's very confronting.
Yeah, yes.
I thought the same thing because it kind of opens with that.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, okay, this is a
they're reconstructing the scene, like, just to be able to, like, you know, and it is genuine. You can see it's genuine police officers. So I'm like, yep, they're just this is a reconstruction of the scene, and they're going to be like, right, looking at, like, okay, if the bodies were here and here, like, and just doing police work.
Mm-hmm. No, this was actual footage of the actual crime scene. So you can see what you can see is
everything,
like literally everything. I'm talking the bodies of these boys were found naked. There was mutilation to parts of their bodies. We'll get to that. I think maybe when we talk a bit more about the autopsies.
Yes.
But you literally see it.
Yeah.
All.
Yeah.
The documentary then progresses to the court case about this, and they show photos then of different things as well, which
and
are
you will
equally
see
as
very
confronting
images, and there is no blurring out of images you know, the lawyer's talking about a photo and you're looking at the back of that lawyer face, you know, that lawyer is standing there, you're seeing from the jury's perspective exactly what they're seeing.
Now,
it's full on.
What do you think about that? Like,
yeah, it was a really interesting choice. I mean, we're talking 1993. This is America trials are televised. Like, I mean, here it would never happen. Like, they just don't let those sorts of things happen in courts here. But in America they do. And this was kind of the start of that. It was really, they now reflect back. I know the judge, which we again have a talk,
God, yeah.
but he now regrets it occurring, and he stated that if whether the prosecution or the defence had put forward something to him requesting it to not occur, he would have 100% gone, yep, no, we're not doing it then. But neither of them did.
Do you not think it's really friggin' bizarre though that to me as well is the fact that the parents would have had to have consented to these images being put on the HBO documentary, wouldn't they?
I don't think they did.
But they also actively participated in the documentary. So at some point they're like, this is fine. Like, if that happened to my child, I don't know that I would want those images out there in a documentary.
I know.
Like, they're very, very personal.
I mean, I guess at that point, I don't know where the legal line is with this, where it becomes, once it's in a court, I mean, they're children, so
legal
therefore it should be
or
suppressed.
ethical? 100%.
Yeah, but like, I think legally it becomes public information in that, the public need to be aware of these court cases and aware of why there's outcomes of the outcomes that they are and all those things. But because they're minors,
that's what makes me think there needed to be consent from the parents to release those images publicly.
Question marks over particular parents who took part in that, because you notice that one set of parents didn't take part.
Yes.
As much.
Well, officially no. Yeah. Okay, let's get into it.
It's a whole lot of gamut there.
there's so much. So let's talk a little bit about the victims to start with, do you think? And then we'll get into what happened after that.
I think so.
The three victims were Stevie Branch, Michael Moore and Christopher Byers. They were 8-year-old best friends. They lived in the same West Memphis neighbourhood. Two of them lived next door to one another and the other one was just down the street. And they often, I guess, as 8-year-old boys did in 1993, this would absolutely not happen these days, but they would ride their bikes to each other's houses and write about the neighbourhood and just go about their day. And on this particular, let's talk a little bit about them. So Stevie Branch was blonde hair, gorgeous kid, very high energy.
Yes.
I think like now would probably get like an ADHD diagnosis or something like that. But he was like, very like loved life, had a zest for life. He was into everything. And just, you know, really, really lovely.
Yeah, I think his parents did say they were called up to school, you know, on a number of occasions.
Yeah. But again, it was for nothing like he wasn't a bad kid.
No.
He was just like, you know, a bit
got into
naughty
stuff.
on the occasion.
Yeah.
Michael Moore, he was more described as like the peacekeeper of the group.
Yeah.
He was definitely...
He was sort of the leader of the group, they called him. He's sort of like
he was kind of a
smidge
bit
more mature, sort of
more mellow,
short.
maybe, do you think? Like just a little bit more, mature, and he just had that leadership type of quality.
Yeah.
And then Christopher Byers, who was spirited, apparently. I heard that. I heard him being described as spirited a couple of times.
Yeah.
Yes, I understand that. I do understand that, having a spirited child. He loved skateboarding. He loved, like, just being outside. That was his thing. That was his jam. So on this particular day, so this all happened on the 5th of May in 1993.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a Wednesday afternoon. It was a warm, sunny afternoon. The boys were seen together between 5:30 and 6:30 p.m. So basically at around 5:30, Christopher was working in his yard. He was helping out with, I think one of his chores was like gathering leaves or like helping with yard work anyway.
Yeah.
And the boys just like the other two came over to grab him and go for a bike ride.
Yeah.
At 6 p.m, Michael's mum saw the three boys riding their bikes in the neighbourhood together. And then at 6:30 p.m, a witness spotted the four boys.
Three.
No, there were four.
Oh,
so there were three victims and a fourth kid who nobody knows who this person was, who this fourth person was,
yes,
right?
Sorry, you're right. I do remember reading that now.
Yeah. So they were spotted heading towards the Robin Hood. I went to say Red Robin again. The Robin Hood Hills, where now this was a place where the boys would go.
Yeah.
It was like, I guess, a safer place for them to go in terms of no cars being around.
Yeah.
There was bike tracks and stuff along. It was a place where
they would create them, like, kind of thing. It was like sort of space. When you think about that in the 90s, I mean, God, I remember doing it myself, you know, you'd like make the track. There was plenty of places there where they could ride their bikes on, like, there was like these really big round like drain pipe things through spots.
Okay.
So, like, you know, they could ride their bikes on top of those, you know, which was, you know, tricky and that they fall off it and whatever, you know, build ramps and stuff with, you know, using bits out down there. So it was kind of, you know, secluded. But at the same time, like, you know, it was a spot, as you say, where they would go to do this and like do a bit of off-road bike riding, I guess, a bit of BMXing and I mean, God, we'd love it.
Tooling around. The kid, you know, that would have been their ideal. And this was not something, it wasn't the first time they'd ever done this. They would do it all the time. Yeah. They'd do it with other siblings sometimes, with other friends. But these three boys were like core friendship kind of people.
Yes.
So by 8 p.m, now the boys, we think about this in the 2026 context and the kids being out at 6:30, 7 o'clock at night, and you think, fuck, no way. But back then it was basically like when the street lights come on, get back home. And so...
expected home for dinner.
Exactly. Yeah. So by the time 8 p.m. rolls around, you know, we're talking it's getting dark or it is dark. You know, it's coming into the summer months, so the days are getting longer, but none of them had come home for dinner. Weird, because, I mean, they're 8-year-old growing boys, and what do they want more than anything else? Dinner at 7 or whatever time they were meant to be home. So by 8 o'clock, things were starting to get a bit uncomfortable for everybody. The parents were like, oh, that's really weird. So-and-so hasn't come home. This one hasn't come home. And I think they sort of started to get in contact with each other, like, are they at your place? Are they at your place?
Yeah.
No. So I guess this is the point where alarm started to be raised. They did start to go looking for the boys themselves and, you know, by the time neighbours and stuff got involved, but they did contact the police and report them missing that evening. So that the police, I believe, acted pretty swiftly.
There is question marks over that they should have acted sooner even again.
Okay.
But...
They did start looking
that night, but I think more like 9:30 they started their active looking. Or it was out on the, you know, they all knew that they were missing, but I believe they didn't actually start searching. So they were kind of like, you know, cop cars out while you're out, keep an eye out for these three boys on bikes kind of stuff. But by 9:30 they were actively like, right, where do we start looking and searching?
Okay, that makes a lot of sense because I was like, I wonder... To me, from what I was reading, I was like, okay, have they actually acted as quickly as we would want them to.
Yeah.
But I guess
there's
you know
question
what,
marks over if they did start it when they first
would they have found
they may have
something
found they may have
in the
found
act
it in the
or
act
something.
potentially.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, so it wasn't actually until the following day, so this is now the 6th of May in 1993, that a police officer, and again, in this documentary, you can see all this. So if you want more detail, go and watch it. If
I think
you don't,
they do like a reenactment of him
this
finding
bit,
it, but like he very clearly goes into that position and
so he found a bicycle like semi-submerged in this like muddy bog.
Yeah.
And obviously he's like, oh, we're looking for kids on bikes. Let's have a look around here. Not far from there, he found the bodies of the 3 boys. So they were in water, not too deep water, I believe, but
sort of,
like
I think maybe waist deep at the deepest point.
yeah, but they were. Oh, this sounds so friggin' horrible, but there were parts of them that he could see. So it's not like they were fully, all of them were fully submerged.
Yeah.
The victims were found restrained. Each of them was hogtied.
With their own shoelaces.
Yeah, that's an important point.
Yeah.
Something we need to just keep in mind for a little bit later.
Yeah.
But basically their wrists were tied to their ankles behind their body.
Yeah.
So their left wrist to their left ankle, and their shoelaces were they white? I believe their shoelaces were white.
So. Yeah.
Stevie and Michael, so their autopsies were performed, and the cause of death for them was listed as multiple injuries and then drowning.
Yes.
They had blunt force trauma to their heads. They had skull fractures, and there were indications, I'm assuming there was water in their lungs because there was indication that they'd actually drowned. That was what they ended up dying from. It wasn't the injuries to their head. It was actually drowning.
I guess the impact, maybe the inference there is that the injuries meant that the drowning happened quicker, kind of stuff. Not that the injuries, they died of the drowning, but the injuries definitely impacted that.
Yeah, well, they were unable. They were probably unconscious. Who knows?
Yes, yeah.
Then Christopher's cause of death was listed as multiple injuries, and he suffered the most severe trauma, like physical trauma to his body, including mutilation. So,
but again, we'll get to that.
A little bit later.
It is worth noting too that obviously with this, saying that the police have found these bodies, and then obviously they're starting an investigation. Now, this is probably where the only point in this that I'll say empathetically to the police and the police work, in that they didn't get the autopsy results. They had none of that information of what we've just explained there until a month in to the investigation. So they were investigating this without the knowledge of different causes of death to the children and other aspects of their death that could have been helpful in knowing who you're looking for.
Yeah, I think
Does that
that's
make
really
sense?
fair. So what you're alluding to is the fact that different knots were used to tie the knots in the shoelaces.
Yes.
And then also like the manner of death for
various.
the 3 children was different.
Yep.
So that's just...
And that there were like markings on the body that could have indicated who this was. Various other aspects of this which weren't done well either, because there was lots of things missed, I think, in the autopsies.
Definitely.
My personal opinion.
Oh,
and
no,
it's definitely
I
been
agree.
spoken of. But there was aspects of what came out of the autopsy that then wasn't known by the police as they investigated this.
Which... Okay, that's absolutely fine because they had to go about investigating this.
Yes.
You know, they
can't stop and just kind of go, oh, wait for the autopsy, then we'll start investigating.
However,
we all know that's not the way to go.
The issue is that once they had the information from the autopsies,
yes,
and it didn't really match the line of inquiry that they were going down, they still persisted with it and
made it match.
Well, yeah,
maybe
tried to make it match. So, basically, the police. So you're right. We're at a point now where the police. We don't have an autopsy yet for any of the boys, but we have got a town that is in absolute panic because 3 boys have been brutally murdered their bodies have been, well, left for God only knows what to be found. And it's an absolutely horrific, gruesome, horrible scene.
Yeah.
So the police are under a lot of pressure to find who did this.
Yeah.
Okay. So I guess they started looking at people in the community who might have had something to do with this.
Yeah. The police sort of start going, right, let's start making a list of possible suspects
just
here.
people of interest.
But people of interest. And, the way they went about making that list wasn't necessarily like how us as true crime aficionados know that you start from, say, known people to these children and move out from there. This was
I find
the
so
other way.
It's so the other way. I find it so interesting because some of the parents even weren't interviewed for months.
No.
Months.
Uh-huh.
Even the mum who saw the three boys going up, she wasn't interviewed for 5 or 6 weeks or something. So we're not doing what we know to be core police work here.
Yeah.
We are making assumptions.
And I don't believe that whole thought process is something that's in this newer age of police work. To me, that's fairly basic police work that in the 90s would have been the way they would have approached this normally.
I would have assumed. I can't imagine that's changed.
No.
Like human nature hasn't changed.
No.
As in the most likely person to perpetrate an act upon is somebody close to you, and then, as you said, you work the way out. But the police decided that there were certain elements of the crime scene that made them think that maybe there was some kind of satanic
ritual.
Yeah, ritual that's been involved.
Which
with
we're
this.
looking at an era here in the 90s where, that was it was a whole like fear thing, and particularly in this area. I mean, Arkansas is very like Christian based population, so anything devil worshipping, that's really, really, like, they get very nervous of that sort of thing. And so I think the combination of the timing, and I mean, we're talking 93. I mean, the grunge scene was coming in, and Metallica, all that sort
really
of
popular
stuff. So yeah, it's definitely something that I guess sparked interest in terms of, well, yeah, this could be what they call the satanic panic era kind of. People were fearful of that stuff happening. And the other element I don't think we mentioned about the scene was that the boys' clothes were found like pegged almost to the bank of into the water under sticks and things. So there was like stick arrangement, like, that they were they kind of gripped onto a few of those things as if they were somewhere related to like a ritual.
Yeah.
When I think that person was just trying to hold the clothes down under the water so that they rinsed of the blood that potentially
100%.
was on them.
Yeah, that's what I think.
How I read it.
Same.
But I think that the police jumped to conclusions of like, oh, look, see, they may be placed in a way that is a ritual that's occurred.
I saw one report that was made back in the day. So it was a written news report.
Yeah.
And it said that it was like stakes in, like, through Jesus's hands, they've staked the clothes out on the bank. And I'm like,
we're clutching
holy
here,
fuck,
guys.
right. That's a stretch.
Yeah.
How did you draw A to B there? Like, where's that coming from?
Yeah.
Look, there was this absolute hysteria that then, because the police weren't quiet about this either. They were like telling the media that, oh my God, there's all this satanic stuff. And it really gained its own traction. People were terrified.
Yeah.
The general population of West Memphis were really scared, and they thought they had some demon worshippers out there who were going around and sacrificing, well, at this point, young boys. Who was next? They were really, really worried. The injuries were framed by the police as being ritualistic, and like they'd mutilated the bodies in a certain way, a certain ritualistic type of way, which again, we'll get to that a little bit further down the line, but no. And then I feel like instead of the police going, right, who's done this? They're going, okay, which evil sanction of this?
Who do we have in our books already that we kind of don't like? That are sort of this kind of orientation that we might like go to have a chat with.
Yeah. So who do they come up with?
They immediately go to a guy who's on the top of their list who has been in a bit of trouble with the cops in the past and is just, on their radar for a number of things, by the name of Damien Eccles.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Damien is, he's a bit different, and he's actually what he calls, he was into Wicca.
Yeah.
Not Satan and all that sort of stuff. He was Wiccan. But he wore black, and he liked heavy metal music, but he was a teenager.
He was 18 years old.
18 years of age.
Yep.
Very much of that era. He was not uncommon. Like, in that sense, there was,
Look, he describes himself as, he's like, I know I'm weird.
Yeah.
I know I don't like people. I stick
with you, mate.
Yeah. I stick with, like, my few friends, and he's like, I actually sometimes behave in a way that pushes people away. Like, he acknowledges all of this in himself. Yeah. He basically says, like, I dress in a certain way and I act in a certain way because I don't want people to come near me.
And he also, and he has said this, he in an interview much later in his life, but he said that he was growing up in the poorest of poor environments. They had zero money.
Nothing.
He was living in a trailer, kind of style, which it was filthy. Because
God,
there was
so
just
filthy.
no money. There was no food at times. There was nothing. He literally had nothing. So all that laid on, he was a depressed teenager,
Definitely.
like kind of stuff, going through those sorts of things. He had been put into a facility at one stage for that and for support and things. And yes, he had been arrested and he'd done teenager, I guess, kind of crime. He wasn't
not harming other people.
Not harming other people, no. And that's what I'm trying to say, infer that there was nothing of that extreme, but particular people in this community were scared of him.
Yeah.
And something that
because he was different.
He was
They were
different.
scared because he was different.
And he sort of leaned into it. The fact that people felt scared by him, he liked that because it kept them away from him.
Mm-hmm.
So he would talk in a certain way to them, as teenagers do. I guess it's like, yeah, I'm an asshole. Like, yep.
Stay away.
Got a problem with it?
Yeah.
Like, so this did not sit well with the cops, this arrogant kind it would come off as arrogant to them, but really it comes from a very,
it was self-defense in a way. Like
self-defensive sort of thing, yeah.
He was being defensive and
Yeah.
he just wanted to be left the fuck alone.
Yes. Yeah.
He was their prime suspect.
Yeah.
Now,
Well, so what came about was they went and spoke to him. Now, this initial interview with him is not recorded.
no.
So that's not okay.
Problem in and of itself.
In itself is a problem. So anyway, they talked to him the first time. There's nothing I don't think too much have come out of it, but they're certainly not crossing him off their list. The second time they go back to talk to him, just so happens they arrive at the house. One, there's no parents around. But two, yes, he's 18, so that's not as big a deal. But who is at home with him is his best mate, Jason Baldwin. Now, Jason was 17 at the time. So, but just because Jason was there with him, they decide to interview both of them. But again, Jason's 17.
He's
Still,
underage.
no parents involved in this. They interviewed them.
Yep.
Now, this interview was recorded, and in this interview, the cops are asking him questions like, "Who do you think? What sort of person do you think would do this crime?" And Damien answers them and says things like, "Oh, I don't know, like someone who's pretty evil, and pretty awful." But the more he gets into it, he sort of describes what a person like that could be like, But they sort of make out as if like he's talking about himself, but he's not. He's just answering their question of like the kind of person who could do this.
Yeah.
It's a really interesting
There's also
interview.
They do also ask a lot of leading questions.
Yes.
So their interviewing techniques are not unbiased by any stretch of the imagination. And the answers that he gives, you could interpret them as guilt. You absolutely could. But it's also in equal measure could not be that, So, but they haven't looked at this critically. They haven't listened to the nuance in what he was saying either.
No. It's sort of like,
Jason,
what would you do if you did that? Like,
hold on, what? Like, no.
Can't answer questions like that. Like,
exactly.
And he's got a lawyer, hasn't even got a parent with him to say, don't answer that, mate. Like,
Did they even caution him before questioning him?
I don't believe
no,
so. No.
So how's that admissible in court?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
So Jason Baldwin was, as you said, 17. He was quiet, an artistic boy, also wore black, loved Metallica.
Yeah. They were joined at the hip, the two of them. They were really
very
good
good
mates.
friends.
Yeah.
Very, very good friends.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the next part of this, though, I get confused as to how this really came about, to be really honest with you.
You know why you get confused? Because we don't really know.
It's so weird.
It's so weird.
There's this woman who has children, and she has a young kid who does babysitting for her, Jessie Miss Kelly, Junior, I should say.
Yes.
Now, for some reason, she starts kind of investigating this herself. I don't really fully understand what went on here at all. I have to really admit that. I've heard this being told multiple times of what went on, and none of it makes sense to me as to how this came about. But basically the end of this is where she's having conversations with Jessie, literally to try and find out if he has any involvement in this. Now, who are Jessie's friends? Damien Eccles and Jason Baldwin. They're not as close a mates at all. Like they're kind of on the he's on the peripheral, Jessie, big time, but they know each other and they do hang out occasionally.
Yeah, and they're kind of into the same sort of things. Like Jessie likes the same. Jessie likes the same music. And, you know, they've got a bit. They've got common,
but they're not. Yeah, they're not as tight as Jason and Damien. So this Vicky, I think her name was. Yeah, Vicky. She tells the cops of all this, and so the cops bring Jessie in for a chat. Now, this really gets me. This is awful.
It's awful.
And not that they knew this, I guess, at the time. I'll give them that. But Jessie has a low IQ. And when I say low IQ, he's not completely, unintelligent. He has an IQ of about 72, I think it was.
It was 72, yeah.
So, look, you can completely function in life with an IQ of 72. That does not put you in the status of like you need support for everything in life. But it does make you more susceptible to
coercion or being led, less
manipulated,
less able to think critically, and it's absolutely something that he would have needed support for any, basic function. Absolutely, he was able to, as you said, babysit kids. He was able to,
go to school, function, all those, do all those things, achieve.
He could read and all of that sort of stuff. That was not
saying
issue.
that's not, but
other things he struggled with, and it was he needed time to process things more and think about things. And it wasn't like if you ask him a question, he might need to take a beat to be able to answer that question. And
the way you ask questions needs to be more careful, because you can certainly lead him away, which is what they've been able to do with Damien to a point. And he was an incredibly intelligent person, or is an incredibly intelligent person. And that's, I think, part of what made him different to everyone he struggled with, because he read books and he, did all those things, and other kids weren't doing that stuff.
And he was very well informed about lots of different things.
Oh, very much, which I think that made the cops nervous of him for that.
Agreed.
But
they couldn't keep up with him.
No, but they managed to get his interview to kind of manipulate him, let alone this poor Jessie, who, is so much more easily manipulated by their questioning and led to say certain things.
Yeah.
So again, though, in this interview, I don't think it was a minimum 2 hours they interviewed him without recording it.
Yeah.
Before they actually do record. So we don't even know what was said prior to this recording, which is so
because there
inappropriate.
Are no notes either.
No
they
notes,
didn't even take notes.
Nothing.
It's not like it was just not recorded.
No.
No audio, no visual, no written notes, nothing.
So we don't know what they've told Jessie and what's come out of that hours worth of
I think you're right. I think it was multiple hours.
I'm even thinking it could have been 4 or 5 hours, but I want to say 2 to be generous.
I think I've written it down. Just keep going and I'll just
I can't remember exactly, but I'll say 2 to go with that. But good couple hours worth of interviewing with no recording. They go into the recording then of it, and Jessie confesses, and I'm going to put that in air quotes. He confesses to being a part of this. His story very much led by leading questions. Even in the recording, it's very much, you can hear the leading questions. And he says that himself, Damien Eccles and Jason Baldwin perpetrated this, in that he in his confession of it, he puts Damien and Jason in it of actually killing the boys, and that his role in this was to sort of keep the kids there. Because one thing that I don't disagree with the police, in first looking at this scene, to wrangle 3 8-year-old boys, they did kind of think and make an assumption that there's got to be more than one person involved here. I don't think that that's
a stretch.
It's not a stretch at all.
Agreed.
So they've sort of he said that, two of them were perpetrating the actual crime, and Jessie's role in it was basically to keep the boys there. And one, I think it was Michael, he says, Michael ran off at one stage and he chased him down and dragged him back and brought him back. But then Jason and Damien actually did the crime.
Yep.
But in all of his confession, there are so many inaccuracies.
Oh.
And there's so much of him saying something and the cops get him to re-answer the question and say what they want him to say.
Yeah.
But even with them doing that, one key thing that he does that he says that is that this happened at noon.
Mm-hmm. And he says it so many times.
Yeah.
They ask him again and again and again about the time.
Yep.
And he says every time, he either says morning, he either says yes in the morning.
And they say, sure, it was a little bit later than that.
And he's like, oh, yeah, noon.
Now, the boys were at school. Yep. There is no question about that. They were at school until 3 p.m.
5:30 by multiple witnesses, at 6:30 by multiple witnesses.
Yeah, so there's no question this has occurred from 6:30 onwards.
Yep.
So there's no way this happened at noon.
No.
So that's a whole big gap in this of like that to me that's a red flag that this is a coerced confession.
Yep.
But no, the cops still push on with this and eventually get him to say that it was later in the day and it was evening. Because they sort of push him around. Are you sure it wasn't dark? Do you think and they get him to say, "Oh yeah, it was dark. It was dark. Yeah, it was dark. It was later. Yeah."
What the fuck? Okay.
Yep. Yeah. So that's just one of the.
I think it's also like part of this as well, and the reason he kind of got to this point. I think this interview went for 12 hours. He was probably like, get me the fuck out of here. I'll just say whatever you want me to say. I will so I can get out of here. I can't be here anymore.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this is the thing. They've worn him down to the point of like, apparently there was conversation said around the fact of like, look, you just tell us that you did it and everything, and then you can go.
And you can go home. This has got total Making a Murderer vibes about
it. Yes, exactly.
Like
yes.
It really does.
Yes.
It really, really does. And this is such poor police work. It's not even funny.
I get it from the perspective of the cops were very under pressure to find the person who, not a person,
find
the
person
exactly. Or persons who did this.
Yeah.
And they think they've got their guy. But they really just don't. And they have been so blinded by this whole satanic ritual. This must be them. We've got them. Let's be done with this.
Yeah.
Which is just bullshit.
It's absolute fucking bullshit. It's horrible. But then, the police are the ones who've put out there that there's this this satanic panic. They are perpetrating that. They are going with that. They are feeding that beast. And then so they can then look like the heroes when they arrest these 3 boys who, well, one is 18, I guess. The other 2 are under 18. But they...
Jason was only 16 at the time, actually. It was Jessie who was 17.
17, okay.
Sorry, yeah.
Oh, so even worse.
Even more. So it's just awful.
Regardless, they were under...
So whilst they're all doing this investigation of these 3, the 3 supposed perpetrators, Jessie, who's been interviewed a couple of times, there is nothing of this is kept under wraps. Like, everyone knows they're interviewing Damien and in this crew, like basically of like the locals. And so Damien, to his own detriment, really, and look, he truly believed that if you didn't do it, you can't prove I did it, so therefore I'm fine.
Yeah. And
he was like going around going, yeah, I killed him. Like he did say that to a few people. There was another instance where Damien had a probation officer at this time.
Yeah.
This probation told Damien that in the autopsy report there's no written evidence of this being true, but this was something the cops supposedly were keeping under wraps so that if they knew the murderer only the murderer would know this.
But how did the parole officer know it? But anyway, go on.
This is it. It's very well known that it got spread around. Everyone knew it, but that there was urine found in the boys' stomachs, so inferring that they were forced to drink urine, right? So, and according to the cops, only they knew that and the murderer, so only the murderer would know it. But Damien was told by his parole officer this information, and so he said to people, made him drink urine, and then the cops are saying, so basically going, see, well, only the murderer knows that. Half the bloody town knew that. They didn't keep anything under wraps. There was so much talk about all of these things that it just made for such a shitstorm. But Damien being a bit arrogant, being a teenager,
Also,
stupidly.
I totally understand because in the documentary when he's interviewed, he does say,
yeah.
he's like, I thought that they wouldn't be able to hold this against us because there would be no evidence tying us to it.
Yeah.
So I could basically say what I wanted because I didn't do it.
No.
And
even to
there's
the point
no
of
evidence. So how would they ever be able to convict me or arrest me? I mean, they did arrest them for it.
no. Well, Jason
but
says
even
that
after
during the trial.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep.
He's interviewed in that by the documentary, and he
Yeah.
says like I just have faith in the fact that they can't prove I did this because I didn't. Like so I like holy
And
shit.
look, we've talked about this before as well. Like if we were ever arrested, you think, oh my God, you think you're going to be okay. You'd never know.
No.
You never know.
No. Especially when there's so many things at play with this.
Oh, so much at play. So much at play.
So clearly, I mean, this being young boys who have been brutally murdered, it is the talk of the town. It is a lot of press involved in this. And so people wanted someone done for this.
And so they should.
Yeah.
Like, absolutely. This needs to be solved, but not
Yeah.
by convenience. This
No.
needs to be solved and you need to get the right person.
But then how do you get a fair trial in that environment?
Well, this is the problem. They didn't, did they? So they actually tried Jessie Miss Kelly separately.
Yes.
Because he was, well, according to his confession, he was sort of separate to the actual murdering.
Yeah.
The fact that he'd provided a full, well, again, air quotes, a full confession meant that he was able to be tried separately. And then also his lawyers were then also trying to get a plea bargain for him for cooperating with the police and then also testifying against Damien and Jason.
Which he then refused to do. He didn't testify against them.
Not in the end.
No.
So, I mean, again, how impressionable this poor young boy, but they end up going to trial.
Yeah, because so obviously we say like he confessed in that police interview, and I have read in a few places where it says that he's confessed multiple times. That's not true.
No.
That's the only time he ever confessed. Yeah. And he very much vehemently after the fact went, well, that's not what happened, but so he recounted that very, very quickly.
Have you listened to the interview with his lawyer?
Yeah.
So his lawyer, Jesse's lawyer, was almost brand new to the job as a defense attorney when he took on
Imagine
Jesse's
this is your
case.
first gig, Joyce.
He admits he was so green. He also had the police brief of evidence given to him and he's read through it and he's like, oh, well, my client's guilty. He said, fully admits that was his first impression.
Yeah.
He then goes to meet Jessie, and in one of the first things he's like, oh, he said he was really nervous about meeting him because he'd never met a killer before. And so he's going to meet this 17-year-old boy who's confessed to the brutal, or being involved in the brutal murder of 3 8-year-old boys.
Yeah.
So he's really expecting a monster. He gets there and they're sort of talking it through, and Jessie is telling him, okay, I actually didn't do this. I actually didn't have anything to do with this. And the lawyer gives Jessie basically all of the documentation that the police have given him. Jessie starts reading through it and he says to his lawyer, what's Saturn? And his lawyer's like, what do you mean? And he's like, oh, have a look. What does this mean? It's something to do with Saturn, and I don't understand what Saturn means. And the lawyer's like, Saturn? I don't remember reading anything about Saturn.
Yeah.
So he goes and has a look at what Jessie's reading, and it's Satan.
Yeah.
Now, and the lawyer said that was the moment he was like, oh my God, he's innocent.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
He has no idea
He
what these
doesn't
cops are
know
talking
what
about.
this means.
No.
He signed this confession and he doesn't actually know what he signed. He doesn't know what it means. He doesn't even know what Satan is or Satanism is. And not that the boys were Satanists anyway. They were Wiccans.
Yeah.
Or, well, at least Damien was a Wicca.
Yeah.
Was Wicca. But that's it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, fuck. So now he's like, oh, Jesus, I really need to get him off.
I need to work this out now. It's a whole different
ball game. It's not like I'm defending someone who probably did it.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. No, I'm actually defending someone who genuinely needs to get off this.
Yeah.
Which, that would be full on.
And it did not go well.
No. Well, and the thing is, in all of this, and in both the trials, so obviously we're saying Jason and Damien were tried together in a separate trial. I think the lawyers did a very good job.
Agreed. I thought Damien and Jason's lawyers were really good.
Yeah.
They were eloquent.
Yeah.
They challenged everything.
I mean, in hindsight, there was even more they could have done, but that's because of like so many people have looked into this case.
Yes.
Over time. But even taking away all of that stuff that they didn't do,
they challenged all
there was
the things
enough
they
reasonable doubt in what they presented already.
So I had to actually look up whether the standard was reasonable doubt in Arkansas, and it is.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, how could the jury have convicted them?
Well,
Because
how?
because it is the case to me when you look at the video evidence, as in the videos of the court case, you're like, how did they not have doubt?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Okay, yes, there were certain things I'd be like, okay, you could maybe at a stretch be like, yeah, maybe that's true.
Yep.
But there were other things like the fact that in Jessie's confession again in air quotes, he says that they tied the boys with brown rope. Mm-hmm. No, it was their own shoelaces.
And they were
he
white.
Says that, they were white. He says that again and again
Yep.
in his confession tape. The lawyers challenge that. Like, even to me, that is enough doubt.
Yes, exactly. So that was Jessie's trial, because even in Jason and Damien's trial, they couldn't even use that confession.
No, that's true.
In his trial. So that's not, so they don't, in that trial, supposedly, now this is where we kind of go
That's
fair trial.
Jessie wasn't willing to testify.
Yeah, because he wasn't willing to testify. They could not talk in the case about the confession even being a thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the jury in that case had to ignore that information in making their decision. So if they had done that and looked at the case that was being presented to them as they should have, I mean, the fact of the matter is that they were able to offer up alternative possibilities of others being involved.
That's something we need to talk about in a minute. Yeah.
And then there was the physical evidence of trying to place these boys at that scene. There just wasn't any. The only thing what they did was to connect them to the scene was red fibers. Now, what they found in, I think it was Jason's wardrobe, they found a red dressing robe, right? At the scene, on one of the boys' T-shirts, there were these very minute, very small amount of red fibers. They took those red fibers from his T-shirt and the red fibers from this dressing gown, which they even say this in court. We're not saying he wore that dressing gown to the scene. Like he's saying that they're saying that potentially transferred from the dressing gown to whatever Jason was wearing that day, which they don't even know what that was. And then it's ended up at the scene. That those two red fibers were somewhat similar.
Yep.
Yeah.
There was another fiber evidence that was given as well. These were black fibers that were found. I don't know. I think they weren't found on the boys' bodies. I think it was like near the bodies or I can't remember exactly where these fibers were found.
Yeah.
But what they found was that two of the boys had T-shirts that were made out of these fibers.
Because they were black?
Because they were black. But also they were able to figure out what T-shirts they were from.
Yep.
These T-shirts were sold at something like 45,000 different stores in the US. And it was like the cheap, basic black T-shirt that we would get from Kmart, for example.
Yeah.
That everyone, the $3.50 T-shirt that every second kid wears because it's cheap and who gives a shit if you wreck it.
That's the area you lived into.
Yeah.
Like, that's what the kids were wearing.
They were poor. It was a poor area. And this was one of those cheap
standard T-shirts.
Standard T-shirt that so many people wore.
I'm sorry.
This is not evidence.
Not evidence, whatsoever.
Also, sorry, just really quickly, two of the deceased boys own T-shirts in that as well. So anyway, sorry, go on.
Yeah. So the other bit of evidence that they sort of presented was then this whole satanic shit, right? Now, the guy that they had up on their stand as their expert from the prosecution, doctor, whatever.
Yeah, sorry, what?
Sorry, what is it? How does what's her name? Oh my God,
Dr. Sheila.
Dr. Sheila. Doctor. Like you got to say like question.
Sheila?
Doctor. Sorry if you don't
guys,
listen
if you
to that.
Go and listen to Amy Poehler's
Amy
podcast.
Poehler. Oh my God, I'm having mental blank.
Yeah. Dr. Sheila. It's fucking hilarious.
Oh, Tell Me More. It's called.
Tell Me More. That's right. Tell Me More.
Oh, her song. Oh my God, we used to sing it to each other. Love that podcast.
Oh my God, you really need to listen to it. But yeah,
Side
doctor.
note,
She calls herself doctor because she's not really a doctor, so it's like Dr. question mark Sheila.
Just go back and listen to those episodes again.
No, it's so good. Anyway,
good.
sorry, go.
Sorry.
So, Doctor
Dale Griffiths.
Yes.
Now, he got up on the stand and talked about the fact that these killings were satanic rituals because he knew everything about them. And the fact that what makes you someone who obviously like follows Satan is that you have black T-shirts on, black nail polish. This is literally what he said.
Yep.
Black nail polish, listen to heavy metal music. Like, no joke, he just described like every teenage kid.
Every teenager goes through.
Yeah.
Who didn't go through a goth phase? Like, honestly.
Everyone.
Like, for real.
Yeah.
You know, it's the most ridiculous, reductive thing. And he says it with such conviction.
Yes. He's, and to this day, like, well, as in you go to like that third episode, the third movie of Paradise Lost. I haven't finished it, to be honest. But yeah, I was watching that and going, oh my God, you're still spouting this bullshit.
Yes.
So yeah, he was. They even said that on the stand. So in that the defense lawyers stood up and said, so what classes did you take for your getting your doctorate? None. Did you fill out this pamphlet? It's like a mail order bloody PhD that he's got. It's not worth literally the paper it's written on. It is not. He is not a doctor of anything.
It's like when you say, like, where did you get your license from? The Wheaties box? Yeah, he literally did.
Literally, it was a pamphlet that was put in his letterbox and you filled it in and gone, I'll get a doctorate. What the fuck?
And the fact that they let him on the stand without vetting that.
Not only that, the judge's comments about it being like, because they were like, we need to throw his testimony out because he's not an expert of any kind. And the judge says, well, anyone can be an expert if that's what they say they are, then they are. Basically, that's what he basically says. Oh God, yeah. Yep. Yeah. So I mean, the evidence they presented to make these young boys, these teenagers, the perpetrators, there was really no substance to their evidence. You know, the simple fact that the confession couldn't be involved meant that there was nothing else that was linking them to this case.
No.
They knew of these kids. They didn't know them. You know what I mean?
It's a small town. It's a small town. All kind of
everyone knew
everyone. Each other.
So that doesn't prove anything.
No.
Yeah. So, I just had this flash of like Damien in the court. Should say, just as a comment, he became a father during all of this. So he was also on a bit of the radar of the cops, hitting that he was somehow linked to Satan because he was having sex with his girlfriend, who, yes, she was a little bit younger than him, but not, what was she, 16 and he was 18 or 15 and 18?
No, I think she was 16.
16?
So she was at least 16 when she had the baby.
She might have been 15 when she felt pregnant, though, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, so so he actually during the court case, his baby is brought in and actually meets him for the first time.
I know.
It's pretty awful. So but in this, in him being looked at during this, his girlfriend was pregnant, and he did tell people at the time, oh well, yeah, you know, I'm just having a baby so I can sacrifice it to Satan. Like they're the sort of comments like he would throw out there.
It's like his sense of humor in a way.
Yes.
I mean, it's not funny.
It's not, especially
in the context of the deaths of these three boys. Like he's really missing the mark.
Absolutely. But I can see where people then are like, oh my God, he's clearly awful. Like kind of thing. But put it in the context of this is an 18-year-old.
Yeah, and he thinks he's
angst of an 18-year-old. Like, you know, it's just that. Yeah. I mean, who actually says that shit if they really did do that?
If you mean it, exactly.
Like,
you wouldn't say it.
He was trying to be.
I don't know. It's weird. Yeah, it's really, really weird.
Yes. Oh my God. So these trials are just, in so many ways, I feel like a sham.
Just really quickly about some of the evidence that was presented in the trial, mostly the knots.
Yes.
So I think that's an important, I think this was almost like a key element of the prosecution's case that just fully falls apart.
Yes.
Like falls flat. So basically what they said was the way the boys were tied was some kind of ritualistic behaviour or ritualistic symbol.
Mm-hmm.
Upon further analysis of those knots, what we know is that there were two different types of knots used, or multiple, more than two, I think.
Yeah.
There was square, I don't know a lot about knots. There were square knots, half hitches, and a few other different utilitarian type of knots that were used. Now, these are used by not Satanists, but Boy Scouts, of which the three boys were.
Yeah, they were. Yeah.
There were parents of those boys who were also involved in
The Scouts, yeah.
and would know those knots. They were also used in like military construction, like people hitching things to. I mean, I guess you're looking at small town Arkansas. You know, people are in professions that are hands-on and probably more blue collar.
Yeah.
People knew how to tie knots.
Yes.
It's not a satanistic ritual.
It's probably one of the last things that those three boys knew how to do.
Yeah.
They were not your type to be Boy Scouts.
No,
Right? You know what I mean?
They actually say that.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, no. We are not Boy Scouts. So that was kind of picked apart during the trial because the alleged perpetrators, they didn't know how to tie these knots. Who did? You know, and the fact that there were multiple different types of knots used as well. Like this wasn't a ritual thing. It looked like at least two different people had just tied these knots however they could to bind these boys to stop them from moving.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
Yeah.
The other bit of evidence that I found really interesting, well, it wasn't evidence actually, it was, again, proving that there could be other alternatives to this.
Right.
Was the fact that on the night of May 5th, there was a phone call to police from a local restaurant by the name of Bojangles.
Oh, yes.
And they rang to call to say that there was a man that had entered their restaurant who had blood on his arm and was covered in mud and was behaving oddly. So you think that, okay, when they got that phone call, they actually knew the boys were missing.
But hadn't found them.
At all yet. So they knew they were missing, and there was, as I say, there was that call out to the police of like, keep an eye out for three boys on bikes. They've gone missing, right? So this police officer, I had her name somewhere actually. So it doesn't matter really. But yeah, this female police officer is sent out rather quickly. I believe that she did get there sort of 5-10 minutes after the call.
Did. Yep.
It was pretty quick that she'd respond. So the manager of that store is inside the store and expects to see this police woman or person come through the door. No, the car keeps driving and drives through the drive-through to speak to the police officer. To the manager.
Yep.
And so
the police officer
through the drive-through, the
yep.
police officer speaks to them and doesn't really say much. Like, just, okay, cool. Like, thanks for letting us know. Really? That was all. Doesn't go in at all. Does not go into the store. Now, she was put on the stand at the trial herself, and they asked her, like, what was the go there? And she was like, well, we're looking for two boys. So it wasn't really, like, my priority looking for a man with blood on him and mud. Okay. All right. And the other reason that was because it was out of the proximity of where they were looking for the boys. Now, when I say it was out of the proximity, it was a mile from where they were found, which is less than a mile from where they lived, right? So we're saying
2 miles
where this
away?
restaurant was not far away,
Yeah.
but from the line that her, superior had drawn of where to look, it fell just out of that. So that wasn't of any interest to us.
It blows my fucking mind. This blows my mind. Now, yes, I think at this point they still thought the boys would come home. Like they were just out being turds
being boys and not
being
coming
boys
home
and
when
hadn't come home and were just, bit of misadventure.
Totally. But
if you've got these two things, which are anomalies,
yeah,
right?
I mean, I think I'd want more of an intention to a person covered in blood and mud in a restaurant.
And also,
Right?
if for nothing else than to remove that person from that restaurant, like they're obviously disturbing the other patrons.
Yeah, kind of going, well, why are you covered in blood? Like,
Yeah,
do you need medical attention, mate?
That's the thing. There's a duty of care to that person too.
Yep.
So I'm
Never entered that restaurant.
does not know who that person is.
Now, the manager did explain to them that this person did use the bathroom, right, and cleaned up. But there was
Blood
stuff left
there.
over.
Yeah.
To that manager's credit,
Yes.
that bathroom was then not cleaned. Well, maybe not purposefully. I don't know.
I don't think it was used again.
So the next morning, he again rang the police and said, no one came in. Like, this is what happened. And the police then are like, oh, well, thanks for calling us again because we're still looking for those boys too, like, I guess. So the police go down then to these are police who are linked to this investigation of the boys that are missing too. They are aware of both things. This is not like, two different departments not talking to each other. These were police officers involved in the missing children. They go down to that restaurant, they go into the bathroom and they collect samples of blood that were found, scrapings off of the tiles in the bathroom that was left behind.
And stuff,
Yeah. So great police work. That's what we need happening. Good job. It should have been happening earlier, but whatever. Let's get to it now. So then they get on the stand at the trial, and the defence lawyer says to this police officer, "So, what date did you submit the those blood samples to be looked at to the lab?" And he said, "They weren't. They've been lost. I lost them. Sorry." What the fuck?
What the fuck?
I mean, just to even just rule that out, that there alone is my reasonable doubt.
I could not agree with you more.
The fact that there was someone in the vicinity, blood and mud on them, which we're talking where those boys were found.
We know the bikes were found. The bike alone was found in a muddy
it's
puddle.
water. There was, yeah. So I'm sorry. There's nearby. This man was behaving oddly with blood and mud on him. There's a reasonable doubt there that this could have been perpetrated by that person.
Yeah.
Maybe it wasn't.
Maybe it wasn't.
But maybe it was.
I don't believe in coincidences.
No, I don't either. But at the end of the day, I actually don't know. I don't think it was him. But anyway.
Yeah. I get it. But it warranted further investigation.
Yep.
What the fuck? The fact that female police officer went through the drive-through, like
can't
couldn't
even
be fucking bothered getting out of her car to at least go in and be like, put eyes on him and be like, oh,
Okay.
right, that's this person.
Now I've got a mental image of who he is.
Yep. If nothing else. Nope.
Okay. Such sloppy police work.
So sloppy.
So the other element of the trial that I just wanted to touch on too then was, and this didn't come up until much later, much later that this was an issue. But because as we say, I watched that trial and read transcripts, etc., and I just do not understand how you couldn't have had there was reasonable doubt. I think those defence lawyers did a good job and there was reasonable doubt. How on earth did these they came back quite quickly too, the jury?
Well, the other thing I find really interesting about this case is the judge actually let the jury ask questions that the lawyers hadn't asked.
I think directly to...
Well, they asked through the judge. But then,
yes.
But so I'm like, I thought they had to basically just take what the lawyers had presented and not ask any further, as in, like, they could ask clarifying questions.
I think that's clarifying questions, yeah.
But I believe they asked for new information.
Right. Yeah, I don't know what the boundary is on that.
And
each state probably has their own.
Probably. I just found that really interesting.
That is interesting, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, so, March later this comes out. But during that trial, it has been proven this occurred.
Yep.
That there was a particular lawyer on the case. Was he on the case? Yeah, he was. And one of the guys who was on the jury, his name was Kent Arnold, knew that lawyer. He'd hired that lawyer for his brother-in-law for a particular issue that they had had. And so he was actually, during this trial, contacting that lawyer. Now, this lawyer, to his credit, kept saying to him, I can't answer these questions for you. I can't speak to you. So he didn't answer his questions, but the information that was coming to him from this guy was basically like, we kept asking him, when are they going to bring the confession up? When are they going to bring the confession up? Which they were not allowed to bring to their decision.
Even have in their mind.
They can't bring that into their consideration of the case. Now, this guy apparently said things to this guy like, I've got to somehow, I'm going to have to work out how I'm going to get this jury to convict these guys. They have to go, they have to be put in jail. Like, absolutely horrific stuff. This guy then ends up being the foreman. Mm-hmm. So the foreman of the jury was someone who was very biased, who had already made his mind up regardless of what went on in that courtroom.
Clearly.
He wanted the stuff that was not involved in that courtroom to be part of it, which, it wasn't part of it, because if it had been part of it, it would have been picked apart and proven to be how false it was as a confession.
Definitely.
So I'm sorry, it's just horrific. Horrific that went on, that guy got to that point where he was the foreman of that jury and infiltrated and made sure that then everyone else voted the way he wanted it voted for. Mm-hmm. So these boys were convicted. And
it's horrible. Damien Eccles was given a death sentence.
Yep.
Jason Baldwin was given life in prison, and Jessie, Miss Kelly, was given life plus 40 years.
Yeah. Which just, man, awful.
All of it with reasonable doubt. Every one of them.
Oh, totally. So, absolutely.
I guess they've gone off to prison.
Yeah.
And they've served, how long was it?
It was 18 years.
18, was it?
It was 18 years plus some, I believe. It was, yeah.
Yeah.
The three of them, obviously, they appeal these cases, and at every appeal it gets knocked back, which, again, I just cannot understand, because there was definitely grounds for appeals on all of this. It's mind-boggling it got to this, but anyway.
I know.
And I have to say this. So, as I mentioned, Damien had a child during this that I mean, a lot of people have questioned him in that he's got no relationship with that child. I mean, he's now a grown adult now. And even by the time he got out of jail, his son was like the age that he was when he supposedly perpetrated this. Yeah. Now, he went into jail with being knocked back after appeal, that he's going to be injected with a lethal substance and he will lose his life. So I actually think he's potentially done the right thing here. He cut off a relationship with the child. There's images and footage of him in the courtroom holding his baby. It's the only time he had any interaction with that baby. I don't know of the personal conversations he's had. I don't know of any of that stuff. But I don't blame him thinking that this poor child is going to grow up going, my dad's in prison and now is dead, in that being his
legacy or
whatever.
Yeah.
He removed himself from that child's life.
He says in the interviews when the trial was going on, he says that, for him having a child was such an amazing thing. He didn't realise how wonderful it would feel that he was able to bring life and into the world and how much of a nice feeling that was, despite the fact that it wasn't ideal and it wasn't the way he thought it would happen. He's obviously had to meet his baby in a courtroom.
Yeah.
But, the way he speaks about it, you do feel a softness from him towards his own child. So I agree with you that I think he distanced himself. It would have been painful for him, but knowing that he was trying to do the right thing for his child.
Unfortunately, didn't work.
No.
Because he's turned out not so great.
Yeah.
He's currently in prison.
Or
if he isn't,
I think he is.
He's in and out anyway, been in and out of prison himself. So he has not led a great life, unfortunately.
No.
Yeah. But yes. Gosh.
Yeah,
where are we
so
up to?
I guess we're at the point now where, I guess it comes to a point where enough evidence or enough reasonable doubt is found on appeal that, yes, this needs to be looked into. Yeah. Because...
Well, there's new DNA evidence because obviously we're talking
that's right.
In 1993, obviously DNA was in its infancy, so it was a thing, but it wasn't great.
Yeah.
So, something else that got brought up in that trial that we could go back to again, and it's DNA related, is that this Paradise Lost documentary is being made during all of this.
Yes.
And at a point in that documentary, one of the boys who was killed, father, or a stepfather, I should say. So he's by the name of John Mark Byers. He gave the production crew of the HBO documentary a knife, and it was a gesture of thank you, kind of like for doing the documentary, and this is a gift for you, which they took away. Didn't think too much of it, cool, like a possession from that experience of running, producing that, etc. Off they go. In looking at that knife after a while, they realise that on this knife was something that appeared to look a little bit like blood. So
it's like a little rusty mark and...
Yeah. So they end up handing it over to police just to get looked at. And it comes back with blood on it, with that DNA can prove that it's blood, and that DNA is the same makeup as John Mark Byers, but also, and it's his stepson, so it's quite uncommon, I guess. It's the same blood type as his stepson, Christopher Byers. So that's interesting. So they bring him in and interview him, and John Mark Byers in that interview says, without them really knowing why he's there, sort of thing, they present to him and say, I believe you handed a knife over to the production crew, and he's like, yeah, and he's like, did you ever use that knife? And they, no, it's never been used. Okay, well, because that's weird because we found blood on it. Have you got any reason why there would be blood on it? And he then sort of went, oh, no idea. It's never been used. And he stuck to that story, like never been used. They pulled him up on that trial to say, wasn't it during one of the appeals? Was it?
It was during the appeal.
During the appeal.
Yep.
That's it. Yeah. That and questioned him about it then on the stand, and he changed his story.
Mm-hmm. Like literally on the stand, he changed his story.
And he's like, oh no, I did use it once when I cut some meat up for deer or something that he'd hunted. And then they were like, but that doesn't match deer blood, it matches your blood. And he goes, well, in the process of doing that, I might have cut my thumb. Like, hang on, wait, we've gone from never been used, to now this. Anyway, it's that apparently at that appeal, that was not enough to get up another, get another trial or any of that sort of stuff. So, yeah, even though to me that was new evidence that could very much show reasonable doubt again of someone else's potential involvement in this. Yep. But that comes into play, I guess, a bit later as well. But so, yeah, there was that DNA evidence, but there was another lot of DNA evidence that's come up since, was that there was a hair found on the bottom of a shoe.
In the shoelaces.
In the shoelaces, that's right.
Yep.
In the shoelaces, there was a hair found that matched the DNA of Terry Hobbs, who is the stepfather of Stevie Branch.
Mm-hmm.
So now that DNA absolutely is his.
And it is absolutely not Damien, Jason or Jessie's.
Yes. So again, this is like DNA that's not coming back going, oh, well, now we're linking Damien to this or, anything like that.
Yeah.
So it's separate people. So now we've got Terry Hobbs' DNA at the scene. Now, look, could that have been a transfer DNA? I mean, all these boys had been in that man's house, and at that scene. So not saying that it's not that he was there, but could have been.
Could have been.
Could have been.
So saying that he what? Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. So there's DNA evidence that's coming up since.
Yep.
And there was also some more DNA stuff that was found to not be related to any of the three boys at the scene, like as in the victims, not related to any of the three men who have been convicted, not Terry Hobbs and not Byers.
Yeah.
So there's DNA there of multiple people, none of which are the people who are convicted.
Yes.
Okay. Now I believe that DNA could have been saliva.
I think it was a hair.
A hair as well?
I think it was a hair.
Another hair?
Is this the hair that was linked to Terry Hobbs' friend, David Jacoby?
Oh, I don't know about that one.
So in the knot, the hairs that were found in that knot, some or one was not consistent with that of Terry.
Okay.
And I think there's a link. I don't know if this has been proven or not, but he has a friend named David Jacoby.
Okay.
And I believe it matches his profile, his DNA profile.
And I mean, again, someone's probably been in their house, could be transferred.
Yeah.
But still, not Damien Eccles,
the thing to me, though, is the fact that these hairs were found inside the knot.
That
a casual transfer?
I know.
Or is that because
I mean, you can't
in the
prove that,
can't
but I
prove
think
it,
there's
but
more
me,
to it than...
Don't you think?
I do. I really do.
Yeah.
I mean, but I guess the bigger thing I grasp on that is that there's like all these little bits of DNA are being found.
Yeah.
None of them are the three people that have been convicted.
I think that's the thing we need to take away.
That I focus. I mean, in terms of like the appeals in this case here, I mean, the whole who did do this then is another bigger question again.
Definitely.
But in finding all these bits of DNA, we're not finding anything that still puts these boys there.
Yeah. Do you want to talk about the other suspects?
Oh, let's. So, because I mean, obviously.
Terry Hobbs.
Should we, before we do that, should we just tidy up in terms of where we're at with the Memphis Three?
Yep.
West Memphis Three.
Sorry.
No, so just to say, so they're in jail and they appeal after appeal after appeal, not going anywhere. Many years they're in jail. They do get to a point where some of this evidence does get to a point where, I mean, there's so many people behind them in this. We talk about, there's many celebrities like the Dixie Chicks, there's
when
Eddie Vedder.
That's it. When this documentary came out, it got a groundswell of support.
Yeah.
Because every bloody blind fucking Freddie can see
Yeah.
that there's issues.
Issues with this. And this is the thing. I mean, HBO, as we say, they got onto this so early.
Yeah.
They didn't go into this going, oh, we're going to we want to help the people get off this. They just were documenting. That was
horrific.
And this is what came out of it. So, it's pretty unbelievable.
Yeah,
but
so they did get a groundswell of support. Without that, they would never have gotten to the point
they would
where
never
they're
have
at
gotten
now.
out. No way.
Yeah.
So it got to a point where the courts had to kind of do something, and they did end up winning an appeal to have a retrial. However, as we've talked about this in one of our other cases in the staircase trial, they were very nervous to retry them because
they didn't have the evidence to back it up. But
they weren't willing to back down on that a little bit either, the prosecution. So it got to a little bit of stalemate in terms of plea deals, and what was basically put to the West Memphis Three was that if they would be willing to accept an Alford plea, which means that they say they're innocent but plead guilty.
Yeah, so they say they're innocent, but they accept the fact that there's evidence to show that they are guilty.
They could be convicted and found guilty.
Yeah.
So if they put that plea in, if they agree to that, then the court, they would give them 18 years.
So time
served, and they would be free. So this was a really tough decision, and I really, Jason Baldwin particularly, he backed off from it. He was like, I'm not saying I'm guilty of this. I did not do this. And he was kind of, I want to make them go to trial because I reckon I will get off. But in the end, what convinced him not to was that if something goes awry, his best mate in the world, Damien, would die because he was on death row still. The only thing keeping him alive was the fact that these appeals were going through.
That's right.
So he knew that if this went pear-shaped, and it could because it did the first time, like kind of thing, that his mate would be killed. So at the last minute, literally, he was convinced I can't do this to my friend, and put the plea in and said, okay, I'll accept that we're guilty, and put that plea in, which it breaks me for him. I just feel for him so much in that.
So do I, but I also sometimes think, I understand he wanted justice, but that was never going to happen in this case. It was already so unjust what had happened to these three boys, the three men.
Yeah.
The fact that they lost the prime of their lives, missed out on seeing their child grow up and all of those things. I just think, at least they got out. And they were in their late 30s at the time, so they were able to try and start establishing themselves back in the community. But people still believe they're guilty. And
there are people that really still feel they're guilty.
Strongly feel that and are very vocal about it. And who still don't understand that just because you might believe something or dress in a certain way does not mean you're a fucking murderer.
No, not at all.
Or child predator or whatever it is you think these people may have done.
Exactly. So so they have got out, but I mean, that, to me, it leaves this massive question mark. I mean, I'm sorry, they didn't do it. There's nothing linking them to this case.
They did not.
They did not do this. So who did?
Who did? All right.
Let's get into it.
Let's go for it. So, alternative suspects.
Okay.
Should we talk about? Do you reckon Terry Hobbs first?
Yeah. Well, I mean, obviously, there's the Bojangles dude, that we spoke about.
Yep.
So I guess number one, he was.
Who is he?
We don't even know who he is.
Yep.
There is a truck stop not far from this. Where they were found, where the boys were found.
Yep.
Could he have been a truck driver just coming through?
Could he have hitched it right out of there? Like nobody. I think in this town, I think if he wasn't instantly recognisable to the people in Bojangles anyway, they didn't know who he was.
Yeah.
So was he somebody, just coming through, some kind of transient, as you said, truck driver, or what put him in that place at that time? We don't actually.
We just don't know. So
Terry Hobbs
then we've
next.
got Terry Hobbs.
So Stevie's stepdad.
Yep.
The hair obviously found inside the knot that was tied around Michael Moore.
Yep.
He was not a very nice man.
I was just going to say, just genuinely a piece of shit.
Piece of shit.
So
abused his wife and his stepchildren and his children.
He shot his brother-in-law in the stomach.
Yep.
He had been convicted of that and done some time.
His nephew came out at some point and I believe alleged other types of abuse that the children were then told to keep secret. I don't know any more details than that, but I feel like he's alluding to the fact that there was like some kind of sexual abuse going on there too.
Yeah. So about 4 months after the trial, Terry Hobbs and his wife at the time, so Christopher Byers, not Christopher Byers, Stevie Branch, his mum, the two of them split.
Yep.
Which, I mean, like it was an abusive relationship without this going on. I dare say this going on, whether he did it or not, would definitely increase volatility in that relationship. Totally, I get that. But yeah, within 4 months of the trial, she's left him. Interesting. She's actually got the courage up to leave him. Maybe that's
what I think is maybe this
too.
Presented an opportunity for her to leave him.
Yeah.
Like,
Yep.
She probably didn't have that beforehand maybe.
Yep. Maybe she knows more and needed to distance herself from him.
Yep.
I don't know.
Who knows? We don't know.
No.
We don't know.
No.
We then have John Mark Byers.
Oh, yeah. Want to get on that one?
Do you want to do that?
He's a very, very interesting person.
In that documentary, oh my God. Like as soon as I saw him, I was like, oh, ding, ding, ding.
Oh, yeah. We have a winner.
We have a winner. Oh my God.
He is a very, very unusual person.
Very.
So in this, we've got three families, obviously, of the boys, the victims, right? You've got Michael Moore. Oh my God, Michael Moore's parents, who you don't hear a lot from, but have spoken, to media, have been present. They seem pretty
tight
normal and
normal,
kind of ish, right? You've got then Terry Hobbs, who shied away from media and that sort of thing. He didn't speak as much as others, but present. Past history of all sorts of things. Interesting character. Not a good dude. And then you've got Christopher Byers' parents, who obviously stepdad and mum, who, my God, you could not get this guy away from a camera.
Oh, he fucking loved it.
Absolutely.
Loved the attention.
Loved
He's
the
like
attention.
Quoting Bible verses and
oh my God. And he can just rant off the top of his head. Like,
yes,
just,
and he literally doesn't shut the fuck up.
Nope. And look, I mean, as we've just said about Damien Eccles and Jessie and Jason, just because he's weird doesn't make him a killer.
No, that's fair.
But there's plenty of other things,
yes.
Right? So he had obviously a wife and 2 kids actually prior to meeting Christopher Byers' mum. Mm-hmm. Now, that was incredibly violent. There was all sorts of stuff that went on with that relationship.
Yeah.
So that was – and he had nothing to do with then the kids from that relationship later on. So he left that relationship and moved on to Christopher Byers' mother. And now Christopher Byers was about – I want to say like he was pretty young. He was an infant when they got together, right? But at the age of 2, the neighbours were contacting Child Protection because he was whipping – Christopher so awfully in full view of the neighbours sort of stuff. There was next level abuse of him that the neighbours were involved in calling Child Protection over him. So very obviously physically abusive to both adults and children.
Piece of shit. And you look at him and you're like, he has that like nasty look about him too. Like you look at him and you're like, oh, he really kind of like. You feel guarded, like just looking at his face and the way he talks and is like
so very passionate about
very
things.
Intense and like you just be like, oh fuck, you'd flip on a dime.
Well, literally it was a comment from the police. So when they attended a scene where he was with Chris Byers' mum at this point.
Okay.
But for whatever reason, his ex-wife had been around and he beat the shit out of her.
Oh, I didn't know.
And the cops rocked up and they said that that Mark Byers would literally flip between like being totally like manic about it and all this sort of stuff to being completely calm and fine.
Oh, Jesus, that's scary.
Yeah. But a lot of people, even in that documentary, would comment things around he's very different off camera than he is on camera.
Yes.
There was a lot of that sort of mentioned throughout it.
Someone said something like his behaviour in front of the camera is highly theatrical, and I'm like, yes, it is.
It is theatrical. He's like the
and
way
even the way he kind of like sing-song talks it, and he's like, and down through the valley of the shadow of death, you know, like he's fucking weird.
There's the scene where in the movie, and I'm sure I couldn't have filmed it without pissing myself laughing at him behind the camera, because like when he goes to like the grave site and stuff, and like the way he places everything so purposefully so that the camera can pick all this stuff up. It's so theatrical.
It's performative.
So performative.
He does. Yeah, that's right. It's really disconcerting though.
On the
so
scene when he goes down, it was actually he returned to the scene of where the boys were found. And the boy and Damien and Jason and Jessie have been convicted, and he like burns like the ground. Oh no, it's during the trial. Yes. I think he goes. It's in '93. He does it. He goes there and he burns that section and stuff. It's like, I'm burning you, you can go to hell. And
he also says full mental. He also he's weird. He also says that when the three, the West Memphis, what are known as the West Memphis Three, when they're convicted and after they die, he's going to go and basically piss on their graves, spit on their graves, and like celebrate the day they die.
Yeah.
Oh my God. And a couple of the parents do say similar things.
If you truly believe that they were the one who killed your kid, I can understand you can be as angry as you want at them and like whatever. I kind of like whatever. But when they get released, right, then it's like he flips entirely, and he's like, well, it's even before they do, he gets on their like bandwagon of, they're innocent, and jumps on Terry Hobbs.
Yep.
Like, I find that very interesting. That
it's deflection.
Full deflection. That I know some people might sort of look at that and go, well, can't have been him then if he's getting on board on getting them out. But I just go, no, it's whatever. No, it's the story that's running. It's serving him.
It's serving him.
And he's got another target to look at too. It's still not him.
And he got the media attention he wanted out of it.
Oh my God. You see him hovering in the background of like the journalists. Like when he's like, well, so you'd want to interview me. Like,
like, hello, I'm over here. I'm here. happy to be interviewed.
Bring me in.
Yeah.
So anyway, there's so many problematic things with him. One of the biggest things though is that just prior to these boys going missing, there is an incident with it's that one where with his ex-wife. Now the cops get him brought in as an informant. So he was working as an informant at this time. When their boys go missing, he's working as an informant. Not only is he informing on people, the cops are investigating him about a scam of Rolex watches.
Yes.
Right? They are about to arrest him when the boys go missing. Nothing ever comes out about that until much, much later. The cops literally just sweep that all under the rug and forget about it because the boys have gone missing.
Yeah.
He knew that he knew that it was coming, the arrest as well, by the way. So he was probably under a bit of stress at the time.
Yeah, you don't say.
No, weird. So then after all this occurs, Melissa, which is his wife and Chris's mum, they move from West Memphis because they want to move away from the publicity of all of this.
Whoa.
Do they?
Did they?
So they moved to a place called Cherokee Village.
Yep.
Which is, again, another very small town, and don't exactly make friends with the neighbours. No. Although they did start out as friends, in the end they ended up taking out a restraining order against him because he hit their son with a metal rod.
Oh, with a metal rod?
I believe that's right.
Oh, Jesus. I didn't realise it was with a metal rod.
Metal end of a swatter.
Oh, same thing.
Same thing. Something metal anyway. Their 5-year-old child, he whipped them with that, and he also would he would shoot guns at their house as well. Like, so there was all sorts of stuff going on with them that they put a restraining order against him. Also, as well as that, Melissa and him were actually arrested for burglary. There was a house that had 20 grand's worth of stuff stolen, and it was found at their place basically. Yeah. Now, when they were being looked at this, so obviously they were arrested, they weren't taken into custody, they were out, but they were going to be put on trial for it.
Yeah.
Because they were pleading not guilty, on it. But in that time frame, a second crime occurred at that house where police were investigating an explosion and a subsequent fire that destroyed a motorhome. Funny that. Wonder if he was part of that as well. Interesting.
I mean, again, do we believe in coincidences?
The other incident that has occurred since all this is where, now I kind of got a bit confused on this one, whether or not it was his son and that was
Are you
involved in
talking about
this.
John's son?
Yeah.
Okay.
What happened was, that was again in Cherokee Village.
Yep.
They were driving through the town and there was a group of boys and they were sort of picking on another kid, right? So he drove up with this kid in his car. Now, it's kind of inferred that I'm guessing that it would be his son, but the police don't sort of name him as the son because I guess that would name a minor. So they kind of dance around whether or not it's his son or not. But there's a kid in his car now these are they're teenagers. I think they might be like 15-ish, right?
Right.
They're driving through the town. They see this. They pull up to it. John gets out of the car. John Mark Byers. We should just say I'm using the word John and Mark for him because he goes by both. But
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's confusing. Byers, we'll call him. They get out of the vehicle and he gives this 15-year-old kid that's with him a knife and takes him over to involve himself in this, right?
What
the whole time this kid then like is encouraged to participate in like relentlessly bullying this other young teenage kid. And so meanwhile, while this is going on, Byers has a gun on him and he infers he didn't use the gun, but he just held it, which makes it better apparently, to keep the other kids away, to stop this kid with the knife from bullying this teenager. People witness this. It's all a thing. He admits to doing it and thinks nothing wrong with it. But in the end...
Oh, my God, that says a lot.
Yeah. So he is charged with contributing to the delinquency of a minor, which is a Class A misdemeanor. He absolutely. He handed a young kid a knife and said, go for it, mate.
Jesus,
and his words to the cops were like that, well, wouldn't you do the same? They should just work it out themselves. Right. Okay. Yep. Yeah. Okay. He is an absolute weird ass sack of shit, has priors, has more recent
Is he your number one?
convictions. Yes.
He's my number one. I just think also like the knife, the blood they found, like it was a folding knife. So the blood that they found in that belonging like the same blood type as Christopher, yes, I can understand that.
Yeah.
As Mark, yes, I can understand that, sorry. But with Christopher's blood, like a similar type as Christopher's blood in there, that to me is like, okay, then what perpetration has happened even if it wasn't the killing of these boys?
Yeah, and the thing is too that...
Like has he...
today with our DNA testing, right, you could determine whether it was Mark Byers or Christopher Byers.
Yes.
However, in the process of finding out anything about this blood, that they did find at least that out, that it was one of theirs, it was all used and destroyed. Like as in it was in the process of testing it, it was all used up and and it cannot be retested now.
No.
So I mean that is like a point of, oh my God, how much frustration is that? Yeah. That if there was some part of that was able to maintain,
potentially.
I know, if we could prove that it was definitely Chris's blood on there, because so then I guess we get to the fact of that Chris Byers' body was more brutally mutilated than the other two boys. Yep. So his stepson, and I mean, he just calls him his son, which I get because he knew him from so young.
Infancy, yeah.
So so his son,
and he's got his name, I guess.
Yeah, he does. Yeah. He did adopt him.
Yeah.
So his son is the one who's mostly affected by the brutality of it. Not to say the other kids were not brutally murdered, because they were.
They all were.
But if you wanted to scale it, unfortunately,
Christopher,
that speaks a bit to that.
He definitely had more, and also his was unique to that of the other two boys as well. The other two boys had very similar injuries and methods of death, whereas Christopher's was different.
And almost to the point of just even on the point of how they were murdered, that almost drowning them at that point was almost bit of mercy killing in terms of I don't want to do any more to them. I'll just drown them, which sounds fucking awful.
Yeah.
But gets it done quick and for them. Whereas Christopher did. He died of his injuries.
That's right.
Where he got no relief from that in terms of that side of it. I don't know if that sounds fucking awful. I know it does.
No,
But
I know what you're saying.
yeah,
Yeah.
there's no good way here to go. But no. Oh God. But there's a question mark then over some of the injuries.
Yeah. Well, I think the autopsy showed. So there were injuries to the boy's genitalia.
Yeah.
And specifically Christopher's. Now, basically, his penis had been degloved. So the skin was taken off, but the flesh was still there.
Mm-hmm.
Now, at first, the police thought that this was part of this satanic ritual.
Yeah.
And it was some kind of sacrifice. However, on autopsy, the coroner concluded that it was likely that an animal actually took that piece of flesh.
But the coroner that concluded that, as in like that wasn't the original autopsy either. No. So during the trial situation, it was believed that this was all perpetrated by whoever did this.
Yep.
It's not until we get to this final appeal process where real experts.
For real. No, for real.
So Dr.
Absolutely.
Werner Spitz, who we've talked about him previously on episodes. I believe he was involved in the staircase one. Actually.
Yeah, I think so.
He pretty much his face pops up in all sorts of cases. Everything you sort of see him. He is the the American expert in pathology.
Yeah.
He's very much, it's particularly blood is his game. But yeah, in this he came out and said that his review of this was that he could see where there was scratch marks from animals on some of the injuries that in the trial had been presented as though they were further injuries by the perpetrators. But he said they're clearly like marks from animals and he said, look, foxes, coyotes, like all those sorts of animals that would have been in that area overnight. Obviously, if this was, say, perpetrated in the late evening also of the 5th, those bodies have then sat there until I think it was 1:45 in the afternoon. They were found the next day. So they've sat for quite some time where animals would have been brought to this.
To it,
so there was other marks other than just what happened
and also
to
the way the flesh had been like ripped off, not cut off.
Yes.
So they know, well, I think his expert opinion is that the flesh hadn't been cut with a knife. It's actually been torn off, and that's not something that you could sort of do with your hands. Like it has been that teeth have been used to take that off and rip that skin off.
A lot of the talk around in the trial of this was like to do what happened to Chris Byers in that way, there would have been a lot of blood. Yeah. Now there was water involved, and they talked about a person trying to do that in the water, etc. To mean that there was no blood there, which it created this whole idea of someone being very particular about it, very meticulous, and which even the people who were accusing, Damien and Jessie and Jason of doing these things it made question marks for me even further of what you're saying, these guys are the guys who did that then.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Yeah, exactly. This 16-year-old boy was able to really meticulously, think this through and plan this out. We all know what 16-year-old boys
exactly. Whereas, an animal doing that makes so much more sense to me in that.
There were two other suspects that were, I think they've been pretty much discounted, but at the time, that it was definitely something that needed to be looked into. But there were two teenagers that had been in town, had caused some trouble, I believe, in town. They were named Chris Morgan and Brian Holland. They'd had priors for lots of other things, but a day or two after the murders took place, they left town. Mm-hmm. Nobody knew where they went. Nobody knew. They knew that they were even leaving.
Right.
They fled to California. And they were found there, and they were interviewed by Californian police, and I believe they did a polygraph. And Chris Morgan showed deception on his polygraph when certain questions about the crime was asked.
Yeah.
And then he also said to police after the polygraph that he may have killed the boys because he'd blacked out and he couldn't remember what had happened.
Oh, Jesus.
Nothing has ever come of that. So that makes me think that's kind of
it's been
fizzled into nothing.
Nothing there.
That's all I could really kind of find about that. But just another avenue of inquiry.
Sorry, going back to Mark Byers.
Yeah.
A couple of extra things that have just popped in my brain about him. So there was two things. He did a polygraph as well. So, and he does it. He did well on camera.
Yeah, he did it on camera.
In the documentary,
which I think invalidates.
Well, they weren't allowed to be in the room. They just left a camera running.
Okay.
So I think that then that's fine.
Yeah.
However,
but he knew he was on camera, and so he was performing. Oh,
100%.
Yeah.
So, but what did he know? Because he was on that many drugs when he did that polygraph.
Yeah.
So there was
tell.
5 different types. Oh, big time. Oh. So, and the guy who did this polygraph is actually been known to not be great at doing polygraphs.
Oh yeah. Well, the fact that you would administer a polygraph on somebody who was in the state he was in, you're like, well, you clearly don't know what you're doing.
So, because I don't know I can't remember now with the questioning of how it came about that Mark Byers admits that he's on all these drugs, but I don't think it's because of a question that he asks. The interviewer asks. I think it's just in natural conversation. It somehow comes around to it.
I don't remember that either, actually.
But he ends up listing. There's 5 drugs that he's on, and like they are hardcore, like full blown psychotics, like kind of stuff that he is so fucking mellow. Like, nothing's gonna upset him.
No.
And
imagine what that's doing, like physiologically. Yeah. What are those drugs doing to him? Oh, maybe helping him pass a polygraph. Yeah. I don't know.
So he did pass it.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's just so not valid.
No, not at all.
The other thing that comes up later is that they find that on the bodies there are teeth marks as well. Now, look, teeth marks, especially when we say that there was potentially animals involved in the scene, don't know if there's really that would match. Certainly didn't match up with any of the 3 boys who were convicted. No. So again, okay, that's interesting. Now, so you'd think that maybe we could test it against other people who are suspects. But you can't test it against Mark Byers because he had all of his teeth removed. Mm-hmm. Now, when did he think he had his teeth removed? Well, he tells you at one stage, before the boys were murdered. No, it was after. About 4 years after, I think it was. It was about, it might have been 97, I think. He had his teeth removed.
Yeah, I think you're right. I remember reading 97,
and his dental records really don't tell you why. There's really no reason for it. He says it's because he got in a fight and all his teeth got knocked out. That is definitely not what's in his dental records.
Oh, no.
Another reason
his teeth were removed.
Fully removed.
He didn't get them knocked out in a fight.
No.
What a dickhead.
So he has a full set of dentures, right? He also tries and says that it's due to a particular drug he was taking at one stage that rots your teeth.
Heard. Yeah, that's what I heard.
That drug has been proven to not have that as a side effect. So that's not true.
Yeah.
The dental records don't state anything about it being for that reason.
No.
It almost infers like that he maybe went to the dentist and said, remove my teeth and put in dentures. Thanks.
Oh, Jesus.
So you can't test his bite, but he certainly had teeth that could have done that at the time of the murder.
So are you saying, like, if you look at photos and then sort of compare photos of his teeth with the marks that were on the bodies or the body, that they could potentially match? Is that what you're saying? I
have read that during the trial and things when he's on the screen and you can see how his teeth are made up.
Yeah.
That people have, and I mean experts have looked at it and kind of gone,
that could
it's
be
possible.
Right, okay.
But they are not the teeth he has
now. It's not, you can't test it against it and prove it.
And it was around that time that he had them removed that it became knowledge that they knew there was teeth marks on the children.
Oh, that's so interesting.
Now, the thing is with him, though, and I'm going to say this, you can't rule out the fact that he would do that just to make it look like it was him and it wasn't him.
Well, that's true too.
I just feel
that's
like
so true too.
Yeah, he's such a performer that it's almost like he loves this attention on himself. So is that because he loves his attention just because he loves attention, or is there attention on him because it's him?
I think there's probably a little from column A and a little from column B.
Yeah. Oh my God.
I just think he's a dangerous man.
Oh, because he did do an interview on a TV show too, right? And this was when he was saying that his teeth were taken out prior to the boys being murdered, right? So that he basically inferring that the teeth he has in now are the teeth that he had when the boys were killed, right?
Yeah.
So he did this TV interview. Now, this TV interview never aired, okay? But when he was interviewed, they said to him, it brought up the teeth situation on this interview. He had forgotten his teeth and he did that interview without his teeth in.
because he wouldn't care.
No.
As long as he's got the limelight, not an issue.
No.
Not an issue for our little Marky boy.
No.
Wow.
Little, he's like a full giant.
He is
actually.
a full giant.
And that's the other thing. Physically, he could carry those boys and put them where he put them,
and physically
and restrain
them.
3 of them.
The thing is, though, I still think there was probably more than one person. It's very possible. Look, for me, it's the fact that the knots were all tied very differently. I think that says a lot because I think even if you were in, because people explain that away. People who think it's buyers explain the different and think it's him alone.
Yeah.
They explain that away by saying, oh, well, he would have been in a panic and he would have possibly been restraining one kid and just did the knot. But I'm like, if you do a knot, you do a knot the way you do a knot. You don't do different knots. Do you know what I mean?
I disagree with that, but I just feel like if there was more than one person, it's more likely to have come out who it was. Do you know what I mean? Like, as in, if 2 people not speaking is like unlikely.
I don't think so. I just wonder.
Could it be Terry and Byers? Would they? But they're not.
But they
wouldn't
didn't
even be
really-
friends.
they weren't
They were
friends.
such different. I mean, both pieces of shit.
Yeah.
But different kinds of pieces of shit. Like.
Yeah, both equally as bad. Or they were.
Yeah.
But then I'm like, oh, I don't know. I don't know. It just makes me wonder. I don't know.
Yeah.
I honestly don't know what I think because it's just that's one thing for me. I'm like, yeah, to me, I could see there being someone else involved with this. I don't know who it would be though.
No, I don't know.
And like,
I don't know. But he had friends, like, because there were people sitting around with him on stage on the documentary going, no, we're with you, mate. We know you didn't do it and stuff.
Yeah.
Like, so he had friends somehow. But
like attracts like, and that's the thing that worries me. Like, I'm like, who are his friends? Who is he
could
surrounding
put up
himself
with him?
with?
I mean,
that's
it'd be
right.
exhausting.
But who would? Yeah, the types of people that he would hang around with. I'm like, oh, I don't know. Like, could
I
there
feel like
be
they would
someone
go, like,
else?
you know what? Fuck you, mate. I'm going to go to jail and I'm going to make you go with me because I can't stand talking to you anymore. Do you know what I mean? Like, he'd
Leave me
annoy
the
the
fuck
shit
alone.
out
I'd
of
rather
you.
go to prison.
Yeah.
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 I don't know. I hope one day this is solved.
Yeah.
I don't think
Yeah,
it
yeah.
will be.
Yeah.
I really don't think it will be.
Unfortunately, I think the police did a fucking shit-house job from the
Shocking.
get-go. Nothing in this helped them out with that. They were not willing to
No.
listen to possible other outcomes, and because of that, there will never be an outcome to this.
I agree.
The
The fact that the West Memphis Three are out and they've
least
taken an Alford plea, I think the police are probably just like, we're done.
Well,
they think they've got the people who did it.
Mm-hmm.
And they're not investigating it any further. It's not a cold case anymore. It's not like the 3 men have been found innocent.
No.
They've just served the time.
Yep.
Yeah, and that's it. So I don't think we'll ever get a resolution.
No,
to this
and
case.
Byers is dead, so we
Yeah,
should say that he's
yeah.
dead. So we're not going to get a deathbed,
Good fucking riddance.
confession from him.
That's true.
That's been and gone.
Yeah.
Terry Hobbs is still around, I
Yeah,
believe.
he is. Yeah, Terry Hobbs is alive still.
Yeah.
So,
but then there's these unknown people in terms of like the Bojangles guy. I mean,
I feel like that probably needs to be really thoroughly investigated. And my thought is like, could Bojangles man have been Byers' accomplice?
yeah.
I don't know
because sorry, I just realised that. So the guy that at Bojangles, he was a black man.
Yeah.
There was a hair found at the scene that was found to be of African American hair, like descent. Yeah. It wasn't a white man's hair, and so that there was a bit of a link there too. So I do remember that reading that somewhere too. So yeah.
I just wonder. But then how did he know him? Did they know each other? How has this come about? I don't know. There's so many things
And that's
that
the thing,
need to be
for it to
investigated.
not have been come out to me, they need to have known each other very well to have not dobbed on each other,
Yeah.
not been total strangers. Whereas that guy, he would stand out in that community, I think.
Yep.
Therefore,
Yep.
it was a passerby,
Yeah, I don't know.
and that doesn't work for me.
No. I know.
Oh man,
It's crazy.
yes,
It's absolutely mental.
yeah. This
And-
one's done my head in this week in terms of that. I mean,
Same.
and I at the end of all of this, and I really what I hate about this is that this case really does focus on the West Memphis Three, and they are definitely victims in this, absolutely. And it's horrific what happened to them of being pinned for this when they had nothing to do with it. But those 3 8-year-old boys, they get lost in this,
They do.
and
You and I were
that's
talking.
awful.
You and I were actually talking about that before we hit record today because
Yeah.
we in researching this, you and I both, like, there's, as we said, there's long form podcasts, there's, you know, a fair bit of information out there about this. Most of it focuses on the aftermath of the crime, not the crime itself.
Yeah.
And as we always try to be in this podcast, we try to have the victims at the centre and the victims at the forefront of our mind. We cannot imagine what those poor boys went through. We can't imagine what their families have gone through. I can't imagine losing an 8-year-old. Oh God, at the thought of it, I actually can't go there.
No.
You have to almost disassociate in a way because it's just a bit too close to home.
Yep.
So, you know, I think you're right. At the end of the day, those 3 boys did not deserve what they got, and I'm so sorry that happened to them.
I hope that they are, wherever they are, building the best freaking BMX track known to man, and that's what they're doing and spending their time doing, because that's what they loved. Getting in the dirt, building those ramps.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's leave that there.
Yeah.
Now, thank you to everybody for, we're getting a bit funny. Thank you to everybody for joining us today. If you'd like to follow us on the socials, don't even bother with TikTok. We've fucked TikTok right off for
God.
now.
Yep. Done.
So fucking done. We got reported again. Can't get our
reported.
Not even reported. Yeah, we're just banned.
And then we appeal it and they don't even contact us again.
But also, I can't even get into our account now.
No.
At all.
No.
Whereas before, at least I could get into the account.
No, that was a different account. That's the thing. It was,
that's why. Okay.
It's a whole thing.
Oh, yeah. No, that's fair. So, yes. No, it's absolutely fucked. So, don't find us on TikTok because we're not there.
No.
Instagram is where it's at.
Facebook.
And we really appreciate everybody who engages with our content over there.
Absolutely.
Same as on Spotify. Check out if you can watch us on video, please do so.
Ooh.
Meg loves that. It's her favourite.
Love it. Love it.
Next week, we are bringing you a 2-parter. So next week will be the first parter of the murders, family murders.
Yep.
My God, that's a big one, and
lot
that's why
of research to do.
That's right, and that's why we are chucking it into a 2-parter because we know it's going to be mental and huge.
Absolutely, looking
it's
forward
huge.
to it. Yeah, I'm keen to get stuck into this one actually.
Me too.
But at the same time, it's gonna be a lot. Yeah.
It's a lot. Yeah. It's a lot.
But yeah, we'll split it over 2 and bring it to you as in depth as possible. That way, I think we won't be doing it justice if we squeeze it into one episode.
Yep. If you would like an extra episode every month, you can join us over on Patreon. It depends. Today we're actually going to record another Patreon episode, so there'll be a freshie up by the time this episode comes out. So if you'd like to join us over there, it's $5 a month and it really helps support the podcast and doing what we do. So you can join us at patreon.com/2crimebesties.
Absolutely. Love it. We're just loving the chat over there and what we've got going there, the different episodes we're releasing there. We do a slightly different take on our episodes over there for the once a month, so come and join us. Lots of fun.
Excellent.
Well, stay curious, crime besties.
Bye.